the question. That is the question. Possibly. Paul Blart Vampire Cop. Is the music still playing? Let's start it over. So I can hear... Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry, it took me. Anyway, hello. I will send them out, Corbin. Thank you. I also want to give a super shout out for Super Adusky for being the first person here. Hello, Super Adusky. How is it going? You deserve a special shout out. I feel like I should have acknowledged you. It's hard setting up and doing the chat, so if you see me not notice yet, don't take it for not that anyone was. I'm just saying for future reference. All right, hello everybody. We have also happy birthday to fucking no. I'm not doing it. Let me just call it Zodberg. It's Zodberg's birthday. That's right. Zodberg, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. I realized I didn't remember my charger. Oh well. Alright, anyway, let's just do a little bit and then we might take a little break just in case. But hello, and we are... Can anyone guess where we are? I don't know. I guess you can. I wonder if people can guess. I think the sound is different. Doesn't matter, I'm here. I'm here in the classic spot. Look how I have the lights all set up. All that stuff. So I'm excited for tonight. I think we have a good script and show. I thought I was doing well until I realized... Oh, Cornbread said kitchen. Interesting. I do... Yeah, I forgot. You're supposed to have a chart. Well, we're okay, but I will... fix that in a second. Anyway, happy birthday, Zodberg. Everybody give a happy birthday. Sing happy birthday wherever you are to Zodberg. But I want to say hello to Nathaniel Foga, Purple, Goop, Jordan Salafalo, Cornbread. I saw Austin in here earlier. I know he is very tired. Anybody else in the club? Nathaniel Foga, Zodberg, Super Dusky. I think I got everyone. Hello to you all. I don't have too... I mean, I don't know. I saw Sinners last night, and for Wednesday it was packed, which was crazy. You know, I think that thing is doing pretty well. We'll get into that. As well as I've been watching, my wife has gotten me into Severance, and we're on season 2, and I like it so far. Hello, Morgan Legend. I'm liking Severance so far. I'm sort of late to the game, but I do like it. I like what it says about sort of our need for technology to not have to deal with things, and how that sort of robs us of our own humanity. Hello, Jortunes. I think is interesting. But I'm not too far into season 2, but I like it. It's also weird, like, I think it's the first time, I keep telling people, first time since the Ben Stiller show that Ben Stiller's made something that's like cool. I like Night Museum and Madagascar, but those aren't like cool things. And I think it seems like he's wanted to do that, and I appreciate that he has succeeded. That's actually why I'm a little late. I wanted to watch Severance with her. I mean, we did successfully, but it's always hard to get kids to bed and all that stuff. I'm trying to think of anything else. Because there is a lot of stuff, and I'm trying to keep the intros short. Although it doesn't. Nobody ever says, "Man, I like that show," but those intros, what the fuck? Tropic Thunder is cool, but it's like not weird cool. I guess maybe I don't know. I did notice on Tubi I saw Tropic Thunder, and the poster is just a war movie kind of poster, and I thought that was funny. I'm not sure if that's a joke or not. I think so. I hope so. What else? Well, yeah, I think that's about the only media thing. You know, I'm still watching Speed Race for the kids. I'm still... I had a great Easter, actually. Never mind. I should bring up that. I had a great Easter with my family. It was really cool. Everybody came up to the city. It was a lot to... I actually organized myself. Felt really good about that. And it's nice. Easter is fun with everybody. Watched Wild Robot, and I fell asleep. And the only thing that surprised me, 10 Commandments was not on. It was on for Passover the previous weekend. I didn't know... Okay, good point. Good point. I'll just say this 10 Commandments part. And then I do have a trivia thing. I have some like actual cool stuff. But you have a good point. Oh. Getting a Switch 2, sadly no Paul Blart edition. First off, Bloxy, cheers you. Also, I want to give a shout out to, even though Cornbread's very good at guessing these, but Nathanafoga did guess the drink right before Cornbread. So I will give this to Nathanafoga for the energy drink clue. Nathanafoga, you won this week. Nobody guessed the flavor, but in terms of winning, Nathanafoga technically got it before Cornbread when I looked at the times of the tweets, just to be clear. Anyway, but Blacksea, I would like a Paul Blart. I got a Zoa as the, sorry, I need to have my monitor. It comes. My Zoa, I did say from a cast member of Southland Tales, which I've never seen. I should do a Richard Curtis. Is it Richard Curtis? No. Whatever that guy is, I should do like just do his two, because I've done is my review of the box still around? I don't know. Anyway, cheers to you, Blacksea Axel Michael. How do I feel about the Powerpuff Girls reboot? I mean, I don't like it. I think I've talked about it before on other things, but not very happy about that. Anyway, yeah, it was weird. 10 Commandments wasn't on, and it was just weird. I don't know. I'm fine with it being. I'm not offended. I'm just like, oh, okay. I mean, I think they could just play it twice, or that and Prince of Egypt could like flip flop. Like, one gets Passover, one gets Easter, something like that. Or they could play the silent 10 Commandments, which I want to do for a while. Is like do 1 year I'm a little quiet. Oh, I think I just personally am quiet, but thank you for George. It might just be you, but I turned it up a little bit. Yeah, so Speedy Mill did a silent one and then remade it, and the newer one's a remake, and the original sort of an intolerance riff is what I've always heard. So I've always wanted to do that, but I've never actually. Whatever. Anyway, hello, Caden the Wolf Fox. Well, I hope I'm not too quiet. I am a little far. Let me move the mic closer, too. Let's try that. Anyway, all right. Let me get to like the actual. I did know Kevin James was on. He was like the food person, and they made like a food pyramid thing or something. All right. Do you have any other small talk? Some random video things. Oh, I gotta give a shout out to y'all for being cool, because I did that throwback of literally a 15-year-old YouTube video about a silent documentary. That sounds like potentially the least viral thing I could possibly come up with, and a lot of you check that out. So I really got to give you props, because that's not to you guys, the audience, because that's not. It's cool that you did check it out. It makes me feel like I can do any sort of weird stuff if I want to. But anyway, also I wanted to say before you get into, I'm going to do a trivia section, is I'm sorry, 2 Ryan Coogler focused videos in a row. I usually do more variety, but I literally just shot a ton of stuff and then tried to finish a Mickey Mouse video, and I fell asleep. So I felt the Mickey Mouse thing could wait, and I just could have, but sorry, I tried to do more variety. It just didn't work out. I apologized on the Discord. Nobody really went upset, but that's just sort of how it works sometimes. Anyway, here are 3 pieces of trivia. Usually one of these is one. I learned all of these today, but one that I found interesting. This first one was there was recently an interview with Emilio Estevez, because he did a big Q&A for the Breakfast Club, kind of a Breakfast Club reunion, and which he never has shown up for before, apparently. I didn't know the history of Breakfast Club reunions, but apparently it was a big deal. He was there, and he did an interview, and he talked about mission, because he's in the first Mission Impossible at the beginning, and apparently he talked about how they filmed the movie, the whole sequence where Emilio Estevez's character dies and stuff. And then Brian De Palma directed it, and Brian De Palma and George Lucas are friends, and Brian De Palma showed George Lucas Mission Impossible, and he said, "Where's the spaghetti scene?" And Brian De Palma's like, "What are you talking? What does that mean?" And he's like, you need a scene where the whole team hangs out, so you get that they're friends, and it kind of helps you build with the audience and gives you a moment and explains their relationships. And so apparently, because of this suggestion, they went back and filmed that whole thing with the mask and stuff in the first part of the first Mission Impossible. Was a George Lucas suggestion, which is funny because Brian De Palma is the one who famously like ripped through George Lucas in that Star Wars screening, and then wrote in the original Star Wars screening, and then wrote the opening crawl. So it's interesting. De Palma and Lucas sort of have a back and forth. Everybody talks about Lucas and Coppola, but I think De Palma and Lucas have a closer thing. Anyway, that's interesting. I didn't know that. And then the other two, one is Ryan Coogler talks a lot about the big influences in his movie, but he said there are two Robert Rodriguez movies that influenced him. I think you probably guessed From Dusk Till Dawn was an influence on Sinners. The other one, he says, is The Faculty. I think it's cool. Robert Rodriguez doesn't get enough love nowadays. I'm cool with that. And then, secondly, he's just in the first. By the way, Emilio Estevez is only in the first Mission Impossible. He even said, I'm not coming back. I am definitely dead. This is the last one. I was sort of looking up because The Accountant 2 is coming out, and there's going to be a throwback for my review of the original Accountant. By the way, I find the whole appeal of The Accountant super strange to me because, like, it's a movie that got big because it played on TNT before basketball for years and years, and people ended up watching it more and more, is to my understanding. And then it, like, it was already a successful movie, but it then became a bigger movie because of that. It had longer legs than anyone expected. Sort of like a throwback that it's, like, big because of TV is straight, and cable TV. Like, is that the last one? Is The Accountant going to be the last cable TV movie hit? Possibly. But apparently the original Accountant, this is crazy. I read this today. The original movie The Accountant was originally envisioned with Mel Gibson starring, and then the Coen brothers directing. This sounds insane. There are also reports apparently that then at some point the Coen brothers left, and then there were reports that Mel Gibson was going to direct with Will Smith starring. So sometimes you learn like certain movies were bigger deals than you thought they were, and that is true for The Accountant. It's totally bizarre. I can't imagine what the Coen brothers one was like. Thank you very much, Medela Butterfly. Cheers to you. You're early tonight. Or I'm really late. Anyway. All right. Hello, Optimus Room Joan. How's it going? Hello, everybody. All right. I don't think there's anything else to say. The Accountant. I posted Unfriended was a throwback. We'd already talked about Grass. I'm learning from posting that Ryan Coogler video almost did on TikTok. One, I forgot him and Michael B. Jordan were going to do a teaching, like a test, like a school test scandal movie. And I totally forgot about that. And I looked up Ryan Coogler so many times, like Abandoned Project, and that never came up. And I was like, I already knew that. Anyway, the one person got that. But I also learned a lot of people do not like Coming to America 2. I never watched it, but like half the comments are like, I hate that movie. I was like, wow. The hate for Coming to America 2 is real, guys. I sometimes I get weird threads of people in the comments of TikTok, but I did not know, because at first I was like, are they talking about Sinners? Because they wouldn't name the movie, and then it became very clear. People do not like Coming to America, like very much so. I was like, wow. I mean, it was like not, how can you live up to that first one? Anyway, this and everything I do is supported by you, the fans, either through my Patreon, or no, either through Super Text during the show, which gives me energy, which, trust me, I need. And I will add this: if I get past $20 on Super Chat, I will do the amazing. Let me just give you. Well, no, I'm not going to give you a preview. I will do with my little remote here. Do the little flashy things for at least 5 minutes every time we hit another $20 marker. And it is probably this shirt's last stream because it has a big hole in it right here, and so I'm gonna have to like duck around and turn that on. So it'll be very awkward, and I encourage you to make me be very awkward to get to that. But another great way to support the show is through the Patreon, which has all sorts of cool stuff like exclusive content. My commentary series, you get access to my public access show, which the only way you can watch it on demand is through my Patreon. Every episode is there. I actually repost or did a Patreon throwback of my Ryan Coogler episode, which I made way back in right when Black Panther came out. So it has the first reviews of his first 3 movies, which that plays a lot on Brooklyn Free Speech up until Wakanda Forever. I don't know if it plays now because I looked through their schedule, but sometimes they would just randomly air that one even when it had a show. So that one was like my most popular or most replayed episode of that whole thing. But if you're a patron, you can watch that. I reposted it because of all this stuff. Ew, what? Really? 15 horrible days? Are you okay? I hope you like horrible. That's a lot. I imagine you did that in one sitting and that it wasn't. Anyway, and anyway, you get all sorts of exclusive content, postcards, more interactivity, all sorts of stuff like that. You even get a email when I post a video and all sorts of wonderful things. It helps me support the show, make flyers, make stickers, continue to do what I do. Hopefully, keep the roof over my head. All sorts of cool stuff like that you can get through the Patreon or through the Super Chats during the show and get all sorts of cool stuff. And this cool light show that will go off when we get to $20 Super Chat. That would be neat. Anyway, if you're not financially able to do any of that, and if you're just watching this video, liking always helps. Subscribing also helps. You get all the community posts, all sorts of cool stuff like that. And but if you're just watching, you don't even have a YouTube account, and you're watching this on a phone you stole from somebody and stuff, hey, thanks for the view. You should give that person their phone back, though. Anyway, I think that's all that. Have you ever seen Midnight Run with Robert De Niro, Tunes? You know what? This is a weird one, Tunes, because I have to move my arm because I'll show you this. I'll show you at some point. I saw it when I was like a kid, like in a year that started 19, had a 1, 9, and an 8 in it. And I remember thinking it was funny, and I have not seen it since. And I need to rewatch that. So yes, Baltimore syndicated TV is wild, by the way, in terms of movies, because I went there visit once. It was like the 2000s, and Taxi Driver was just on in the afternoon. And I was like, y'all are crazy. Y'all are crazy. Cheers to you, Tunes. Thank you for being here. Happy birthday, Zopper. Anyway, as well as all that, we have the Discord, which is an amazing community. If you like everyone here in the chat, not absolutely everyone, but most everyone is there. It is a wonderful community. It has awesome stuff like they do a movie watch every week. I do not know what they're doing this week, but there's the general chat. There's a movie discussion, which I need to post more, and I was reading through just seeing like, hey, what do people post that? I need to actually type things and post things, but as well as the licensed playing card channel. I have no clue what happened to my Stitch cards, so we went back to the Peanuts cards, but I'll repost when I open a new deck. I post there. There's all sorts of cool stuff. It is a wonderful community done by Ryan Walterson, Zane Powers, Austin, and Cornbread. All do a wonderful job as mods there. They're watching the Fatal Fury anime movies. Oh, cool. But it's a great Discord, and it's the one I am most active in, as well as I'm on TikTok, which I think some people are here from, Instagram, personal, and the other stuff, Facebook fan page, Twitter, Tumblr, Blue Sky. I'm sure I forgot to post something on one of them, but I have all of them there. Yeah, so I'll show you this shirt, and then we will talk about the Sinners. So this shirt, like this whole thing is like, look at that. So I have to be careful. Anyway, probably the last video this is in. I love this Jason shirt, but I was like, I'll be comfortable. I'm going to be comfortable this stream. I didn't. Anyway, hello, Austin. How's it going? I hope you're having a good night. All right, there's a lot to talk about with the, we're going to talk about box office and Sinners and the perception of box office and a lot of stuff with that because it's confusing what the fuck's going on here. So, Sinners opened this past weekend. It opened the whole Easter weekend gross, which would be from the 18th to the 21st. For some reason, we're counting. What? No, you know what? I'm not doing that fucking shit. What? Nobody counts Easter weekend that way. Box Office Mojo. Anyway, sorry. So it opened at number one with 48 million. I should do something with it. Yeah, it's sort of a done shirt, but I love this shirt. It opened to $48 million. The film cost about $90 million. And as well too, I want to explain all the context. So if anyone's watching doesn't know, so you're all informed. Sinners basically was part of a huge deal, which hasn't happened a lot of times. It happened with three movies I can think of, and the middle one I won't tell you until if someone guesses it. This is less a quiz game, more because anyway. One was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There was another, it's a streaming one. And then there was Sinners, and usually what this deal is after 25... Why is my Roku flashing? Anyway. I think it's turning off. Sorry. I got distracted. Where were we? Oh, yes. It's part of this deal where after 25 years, you get the rights back, and you get first dollar gross, as well as the rights to do spin-offs and sequels and everything like that. Ryan Coogler signed that deal for Sinners, I believe, both for himself and a bit for Michael B. Gets some first dollar percentages. It's a crazy deal for anybody, but for someone whose last two movies made over $1 billion and almost $900 million, I think it makes a lot of sense to do that. And also a guy who launched two franchises as well with Creed and Black Panther, two major franchises. I think that, makes a lot of sense. So that happened. We knew it was happening, all this stuff. It came out. It did well for, especially original movies make less because there's not a built-in audience. There's not I have to see this one. Traditionally in Hollywood, that original movies are not going to make what like the Minecraft movie did or Captain America or something like that. There isn't a built-in audience. That's just how it works, right? So then Variety, I think, was the first one to post this thing basically like, there's a big, Sinner succeeds, but there's a big asterisk. And I noticed some weird articles about Sinners over the weekend, and they were paywalled, and I actually figured out how to get through the paywall without paying it, from Vulture, which was like very much pushing this narrative that studio executives are freaking out because of this and like how this is not good, and very much pushing it this certain narrative. And then New York Times did it as well to the box office numbers. Basically, like, they can't say this is a success. They have to majorly hamper it down. And a lot of their reasoning was, the studio's not getting the rights and stuff. I think Ben Stiller himself, who I mentioned earlier, very much came out and said, in what world is that a bad opening for a original movie? And then as well as I think Patrick Schwarzenegger as well, like, replied like, this is a bullshit article. But I applaud Ben Stiller for like quote tweeting it and like calling them out, because the Variety is a major trade. I noticed Hollywood Reporter, I did not see them do that kind of bullshit. I read them a lot more than Variety, unless if someone has a link and can contradict me, I'm not gonna. I accept that. And I understand a lot of people are saying, particularly Variety, it's the mouthpiece of the executives. And then that's probably what happened, as well as the New York Times, as well as Vulture. I'm going to talk about two things, which is one, why these articles are written, and the idea of ownership in general, and the history of ownership with this, because it all ties into it. But the history of actually this deal is very interesting. And it's interesting they chose the way to talk about it here, because the industry is a lot less threatened with Coogler's deal than they would have been with Tarantino's. And that was written about at the time. In fact, I was going back and looking at articles because, but basically these writers, okay, there's this thing, like, I understand, I did on Instagram call them doing secret white supremacist shit, which I don't really mind saying. I will, to me, it's like, if I'm going to have this like white people privilege, I should actually use it and call people out on shit. And I will call those people out on that, because I was actually thinking, this made me think about this a lot. And they may have picked this is not the best timing for anyone to pull this kind of shit because I was literally just thinking about it right before the Sinners came out. But I really hate it when authors and particularly critics do this thing and like act like it's way worse, and then 20 years go by and you look back and you're like, that was an amazing time. What the fuck was your problem, man? Like, you weren't appreciating what was there, and I find that so infuriating, because it's like you're hurting art. Like, art needs, it takes so much to get art out to the masses. It's like so impossible. It's like such an upward battle, and like doing the opposite is like, you're not even doing like, what do you even like movies, like, or do you like holding up like this weird particular view of art? And I was thinking about it because of there used to be a lot of VH1 would constantly be like, well, music, there's a lot of room for something cool to happen in 2000, but other than Radiohead, which Kid A, it didn't use real guitars, so whatever. And Eminem, I don't know, but and then they won't mention Supreme Clientele, they won't mention Stankonia, they won't mention so many great albums, or they'll demote things. And at the end you're like, so the only band that could have succeeded is if like Nirvana was still around and the Beatles. Like, I don't understand. And it just like would like, it was such a poo-poo of everything. And I saw an old MTV News documentary did it. I've seen old VH1 coverage do that. And it's like obviously like kind of racist because there's all this huge things happening in hip hop at the time. But it's also like kind of like hurting all of it. Like, you're not letting people, you're sort of like acting like, well, just give up, just like the crap you like, I guess, but like none of it will be big, you stupid idiots. And like, this is what, and I do think there's a tinge of maybe not purposeful white supremacy necessarily, but I do think there's like this undercurrent people have, and they'll look like, well, it's not, this visionary isn't who I imagine who would be a visionary, so this is not correct. And I really hate that kind of stuff, because like in what word, like, I saw Sinners, and not to give anything away, but I watched the one part where this guy played a blues song and everybody was quiet, and was like, generally, like, I looked around because I noticed how quiet and enraptured everyone was, and I was like, what major filmmaker can make a sold out crowd watch a blues song? Like, that's power, man. Like, we should be appreciating that. We should not be putting shit down, because like, that's an amazing thing. Like, you can't complain about Marvel movies, and then when everyone gets to understand blues and the American tradition in a movie, and you're not appreciating it, like shut the fuck, like, get out, just leave this, like, honestly leave, because you're not appreciating what is happening in culture right now. Like, I do not understand why people do this shit. Like, you clearly don't like movies, you just like, anyway, so sorry, it just really upsets me, and I really don't like it at all. However, the thing with, I don't think the blues part is ruining anything. Everyone knows it's sort of about not about Robert Johnson, but anyway, we're not getting into that right now. The history of this deal is Tarantino did it because he obviously was not going to make Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Harvey Weinstein anymore. It's despite that he did that for a very long time and doesn't really acknowledge anything that happened, but we're going to table that for another day. However, when he was looking for a studio, he was basically between Sony and Warner's. And Warner's at the time, this is before all the Max stuff, had Christopher Nolan. And when Tarantino said, I want, after 25 years, I want the copyright, I want all this stuff, everything like that, Warner said, we can't do that because Christopher Nolan will ask for that. And that was the big thing, is like, everyone in the industry wrote, like, we cannot have Christopher Nolan do this, basically. That's been the whole thing. And then, Tarantino got his way at Sony, not Warner's. And I actually thought when Nolan left Warner's, he was going to ask for that. To my understanding, I could not find something that he did. Now, there's sort of a thing with ownership where, like, I can understand doing both ways, because like I own my stuff, but you also have to, like, make sure it's being monetized correctly. Make sure there's no copyright things like that. Make sure, you're posting it again if it has an anniversary, or making sure you organize a screening and all that stuff. Even though you're making more money, you have to do that. And I can understand if people go, I don't know, I'm really successful and that sounds like a lot of work and I tired, so they're probably not going to there's reasons you do both. So anyway, Nolan hasn't done that. Then Nolan leaves and Warner's like, oh shit, we better like sign some auteurs because we look like jerks and we're not going to sign any big movie stars without it. So they signed Coogler, they signed Paul Thomas Anderson to huge deals. They signed a bunch of auteurs. And part of when they signed him, because they didn't have Nolan anymore, they did a huge deal to get Ryan Coogler at Warner Brothers. I think Ryan Coogler, like I said, he launched 2 franchises. One movie made $1 billion, Wakanda Forever, which I've never heard of a movie so much of culture going like, you can just have a pass, man. That you got it to work at all is a miracle. But that almost made $900 million worldwide. And it totally makes sense. I haven't added up all of Tarantino's grosses, but I would say that Coogler might possibly have made more in just the little time he has than Tarantino. I'm not saying Tarantino doesn't deserve that. But if you look at, I shared a video, if you look at when Tarantino's movie opened to lower box office numbers at a time where that was the 2019 summer where everything's making like boatloads of money, nobody was shitting on it. And the fact that they are shitting on Coogler when he did it is very telling about all of that. I just don't think that... I don't know. I was very upset by this, and I found it like kind of not the right thing, and like it's particularly like how many of them were doing it. And I heard a lot of movie press people saying like this is like kind of racist. Like there's no other way to describe what is going on right now. Now you could say like talk about the history of this deal and ownership and what creative ownership gives us and everything like that. Like I said on Blue Sky, we would not have Mystery Science Theater if they did not have ownership. Every Mystery Science Theater episode, if you like the Sci-Fi Channel, if you like the Netflix episodes, and you like Gizmoplex, that would not have happened had they not have ownership. Comedy Central could have just said, well, it's canceled and we don't want you to make anymore, so we're done. But because they owned it, because Joel had a great agent and stuff like that, as well as like Star Wars. If you like Star Wars, like any sequel, guess what? Like Fox could have just made Star Wars 2 and just kept making Star Wars movies every 2-3 years. Maybe that would have been better in the long run. But Empire Strikes Back would not have happened the way it did. Return of the Jedi would not have happened the way it did. Nothing would have happened the way it did because Lucas would not have had those rights. Creative ownership, there's a lot of stuff. Now, there's sometimes it can work out negatively, and I did actually want to bring that up. Like Harold Lloyd took all of his films out for 20 years. It has majorly hurt his legacy. He was as big, if not bigger, than Keaton and Chaplin. But the debate now is not Keaton, Chaplin, and Lloyd. It's Keaton, Chaplin. Lloyd is still there. Him hanging off the clock tower is still iconic, but he's not as big. As well as like films, things like, I can think of 2 other, I need to make a thing about this eventually. But like there's a William Wellman film now I'm completely blanking on. But that disappeared for a while. That majorly influences Airplane. I forget which one it is. But that disappeared for 20 years, and its legacy is like completely gone. Like Robert Stack is an Airplane because of this movie. What is it? God damn it. Anyway, but same with like Dougie Fresh. I bring this up all the time. He made a really classic album, but the thing is, it never released on CD. Now it's on streaming. It's gaining in popularity again, but he missed out on all those years. And like that's another weird thing about creative ownership is like if your label or your studio says, well, we're not going to re-release this, you could be, there's stuff I've worked on that like it isn't as available, and I can honestly tell you like it's basically like you turn the lights off on the fandom or something and everybody went home. It really hurts that stuff, and like you really have to be responsible, and like creative ownership is not about is a lot. There's a lot. I understand creative ownership, but like having it's a lot of maintenance and stuff like that, and it's a lot of like figuring out yourself and making sure to make the right moves. But I do think like we should really like what you can do with it. You have that freedom, and without it, you let the studio take control. Like would Planet of the Apes be where it is without the studio? Would this, or would, without the studio, would you not have money to continue on with things? It's a lot of questions with that. But I do think saying like they're scared, I understand like the two heads of Warner Brothers, who should be getting more acclaim because the number 1 and 2 movies in the world right now really are Sinners and a Minecraft movie, which are both Warner Brothers movies. But like, you're really not supposed to sign deals like that, because it is true, studios make most of their money off of a library. They make a lot of money off of a library. That's like a huge, that's the reason for their streaming services and shit like that. But without and people were like, that does hurt them, because that is like kind of their job, is to build up the library. And that I understand. I like, as a studio, I totally get that they want to do that, but I do think it is it's just a weird thing that people are so strange about it, because it is a success for movies. It's one of the biggest openings. Vampire movies don't do well up until like Nosferatu and this are making a huge comeback. Like this is not a thing to be upset about. Like, we launched a major horror franchise is insane. Like, this is such a success. Like, that you have a new auteur name that is bringing in dollars, that you're launching. Like, Michael B. Jordan continues to be a movie star, but I'm noticing there's a lot of negative press around it, and even a little I've heard of Michael B. Jordan, because he's directing now. Like, they're asking for more control. I mean, people have always theorized that is what yeah, I wish that Nosferatu, how did it do so well without a trailer? But like, that happened to Chaplin, because Chaplin had so much control. The industry never really, I think, appreciated him as much as they should because of that. So maybe some of it is that, but it's just the fact that they're both like majorly black creators, and the way they're doing it is super shitty and stuff like that. So I wish it wasn't happening, but I do think if you are going to own your stuff, I think it's going well, Yellow. There's a lot to that, and I understand like why Nolan did that. But okay, sorry. I wanted to bring up what was the other movie that got ownership after 25 years. Because I actually had to look it up, because it wasn't in its Wikipedia, believe it or not. But so when What's About in Hollywood did it, another movie did it to sort of mimic that deal. That movie was Spirited. And if there's any movie that you could question why that director got that rights back, it's that one. That guy did like Daddy's Home 1 and 2 and Insta Family. Like, who in their right mind, like, what? Like, you could have just said no to that. The negotiations for Spirited got like insanely out of control. Like, everyone involved got really paid out because it was Apple. But like, it's one of like the only one of those of the three I'd say, like, yeah, Tarantino, absolutely. Coogler, 100%. Spirited? Like, why didn't you question Spirited? Like, that's the thing. I know it didn't open in theaters. It was this weird Christmas movie that Apple TV really pushed. But yeah, they got the rights because the negotiations for that movie got crazy, because every studio wanted it. And it really has not become a holiday classic at all. But like, I'm like, are those rights going to be worth anything in 25 years? Like, I don't know. I don't think so. But you also get like the 25 years of its most profitability from a studio. Like, it's not, how many films he gets the copyright backing. You do the spin-offs is like, that's why Tarantino does so many like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood spin-off things, because he owns the rights. So I think it is creative ownership is a whole thing, but I hope it all works out in the end. But I think, he said he's doing an X-Files thing next, which we'll talk a little bit about later. The other box office things, and we got a big box office bomb, which I noticed the media didn't cover because, they're scared, obviously. But Minecraft is continuing to do well. I also saw that recently. That review will come out soon, making about 300. Nobody remembers Spirited. My wife wanted to watch it, and we watched it, and it was like not very good. They did like this one song that people like, but it's anyway. A Minecraft movie continues to do really well. This is the other thing, is movie audience attendance is still we're around 2019 levels, which is really, really good. Now it skyrockets because 2019 was when Endgame came out, and like let's calm down. We're not reaching that, but that we're reaching that is really good. Having two huge movies at $40 million is amazing. As well as like, I don't know what colorful stage the movie Miko Who Can't Say, I don't know what that is, and I'm also confused why the Pride and Prejudice, not like the TV BBC one that my wife watches and like I hear women watch all the time, but like the other one that came out in the 2000s has like nostalgia and it was doing. I was like, okay, that I didn't know that was a. Um, I really didn't know that that had a fandom, but apparently it does, and it did pretty decent. Um, as but as well as like the Wedding Banquet didn't open super well, but the one and R.I.P. Sneaks, guys, Sneaks didn't do well. Sneaks bombed. It was in half the screens, less than half the screens of Sinners, and sadly, Sneaks only made about $500,000. So I don't think I think Sneaks is going to be out of theaters soon. So if you guys want to see Sneaks, time is limited. Time is limited because it is not doing well. The per theater average was $300, which is not that many people. So yeah, sorry, Sneaks. It's like it's not happening. I'm so sorry. But anyway, I did actually look into the trying to see Sneaks. I'm like, it has barely any showtime, so I'm actually surprised it made this much. Like, it feels like the theaters are like, do not believe in this movie at all. But yeah, Sneaks totally bombed. I blame Mustard. Should stick to being on hot dogs. Nice, Austin. I'll try to see Sneaks when it's on demand or whatever. By the way, cheers to you, Austin. I like that. Mustard. I would have done a double bill of that and Sinners. I can't follow it up after Sinners. That would be unfair to Sneaks. Whereas that lineup always works out for Sinners. I don't know. It is funny. So many people who I saw Northernland and then Mickey 17 were like, "You shouldn't have done that. That's not fair to Mickey 17." Like, that's probably why you didn't like it. I'm like, I mean, yeah. Anyway, so Sneaks. Sorry, guys. I know nobody's talking about it. It almost made the thumbnail, but then I thought, let's try to have some. Anyway, all right, Sneaks. Do you think Mustard even remembers he was in that? And from the Super, that shows you how things think. He was on the Super Bowl not too long ago, and anyway, the box office is back despite what people are saying. But the fact that we have huge hits like the Minecraft movie and um, uh, um, Sinners at the same time is crazy and real healthy box office. I think it's awesome. All right, moving on. I think we're okay. Actually, I'm gonna. Sorry, I should have set up my charger. And this is where I keep everything back here, a little behind the scenes. But I'm gonna set up a charger so I can just talk and not worry about streaming. Not, I think my battery would be okay, but it's like, yeah. Anyway, we're gonna take a very quick break while I set this up and use the bathroom again, and then we'll be. Yeah, I'm just gonna mute it. Then we'll talk about Toy Story 5. Apologies for that. It's cool to come back to Veg Show. That's nice. What was I gonna say? All right. Toy Story 5. Let's just get back into it. Apologies for the. You know, when you set everything up, you're like, I did everything. I'm good. And then I looked and I was like, fuck. All right. So, Toy Story 5. Here are updates about Toy Story 5. Is that we learned this week a few different sort of things. So I'm sort of combining a bunch of stories, but you don't want me to tell you 4 different updates on Toy Story 5. So we learned that Ernie Hudson will be replacing Carl Weathers, who died recently and will not be coming back as Combat Carl. So they're bringing in Ernie Hudson. They're about like sort of same era. That's fine. I think they do definitely have different voices, so I don't know. But good for Ernie Hudson. He can be in Toy Story 5. We learned that Tom Hanks has recorded all of his lines and that Buzz and Woody will be in it, and that it will focus more on Jessie. Now, this is coming out next summer. I'd expect with Elio there'd be some sort of trailer around that time, but I don't think anybody... If people didn't want Toy Story 4, I think it'll still do very well because Toy Story as a franchise is like one of the biggest in terms of animation or anything. But I am like a little like I don't know. Like to me, like I don't get like why Woody would be there. Toy Story 4, like I don't hate that movie. My kids like it a lot, and I sort of look at it as like a kind of healthy franchise film because it's sort of like about, you know, just sort of, I think it's about like, you know, when you're older at some point being like, you got to let go and move on and stuff like that. But, which I thought was kind of a cool thing for a big movie to do. But I don't know if like, I mean, to me, this is like a thing to keep the lights on at the studio. And I do think like the public seems to like it when they do like Elemental or Elio or things like that. Although Inside Out 2 did very well, so I don't know. I'm curious what the what's gonna happen with it, but I'm also like I don't know what the actual take is because you need an actual take that'll bring people in, and like just another Toy Story sounds kind of lame to me. Like I just don't see it, to be honest with you. Yeah, Jesse's barely a rose. Yeah. Okay. Leica has pushed back Wildwood, possibly over a year. Now, this hasn't been reported in that many places, but most people are basically acting like it is true. Supposedly, Wildwood is kind of potentially their most ambitious film ever. And the fact that they're possibly pushing it back a year is not surprising. I think next year is going to be a little crazy box office wise, so I think this might have been a better turn, but if your film's not done, it's not done. I do like that they're pushing things, but Leica hasn't had a film since Missing Link, and I'm not sure, do people still remember? I know they have exhibits of their stuff everywhere, but, like, how are they going to, I don't know. Obviously, like, it's a studio that's owned by Nike, and they have enough money to keep the studio going, and I'm glad that, like, if they're going to use that money and that privilege, they're doing it to expand the medium, which I think they did with like things like Kubo. So they're it's sort of like, yeah, like Leica, are you in trouble? But at the same time, if they're using all this money and privilege to make something interesting and artistic and push the medium forward, I don't think that's a bad business decision. I think that's a great decision, actually. I think that's a really cool thing to do, is like, if you're going to have all this money and you do something interesting with it that no one else in the world would do or is able to do, I mean, that's kind of neat. So, I don't know. I don't like the ultra rich, but like we don't get a lot of stop motion studios. And it's like I'm sort of like willing to let this go if the movie's like amazing or something. So, I do think it is not great for them. And if I were them, I would work on something that would make them money. But yeah, it also helps that like audiences think every stop motion film that's a little weird is them. Like I've heard people keep saying to me that Wendell and Wild is Leica, and I'm like, no, it's just Henry Selick. So, maybe to most of the public, they haven't been gone that long. But you think like last year, all that stuff about the Coraline re-release, and then nothing. It's like, well. Also, I forgot Havoc, the Gareth Edwards movie that I wanted to see for a long time with Tom Hardy, who's it's like his big action movie. He's the raid guy. Comes out on Netflix this weekend. Totally didn't realize that, so I'm excited for that. I don't know. All right. Sorry. The Weezer movie. 8 years? Jesus. Actually, I'll tell you this about Missing Link. When I saw Missing Link, I actually had to turn the lights off in the theater. Nobody was coming to do it. That's how extremely unpopular the movie was. So Weezer, like I'm not joking. Weezer, I know you're surprised I'm talking about Weezer, is broke news on their Discord server. They have one too, apparently. That they're going to be a Weezer movie co-starring Jack Black. And they haven't really said what this movie is going to be. But yeah, there's going to be a Weezer's movie. It might be directed by Henry Jost and Ariel Schulman, who did Catfish and the movie Nerve. As well as they say it will be a cross between Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and the Weird Al movie. The cast list is said to include Jason Schwartz? Who's Schwartz? Somebody Schwartz. I don't know. Eric Andre, Johnny Knoxville, Julia Lewis, Keanu Reeves, and Reeves is supposedly playing the villain in the film. And he too has a historic connection to Weezer because Weezer's first gig was opening for Reeves' band Dogstar, believe it or not. So I don't know what this is. It sounds weird. I'm not exactly sure. What this is. I will give Weezer credit that this is like people are speculating and it's weird and like at least it sounds like an interesting project potentially, but we'll see what the fuck it is because it sounds like what Weezer? What are you doing? What the fuck is going on? I don't know. I mean, to me this sounds like people are. No, they're not dissing me, Rap Boy Mickey. I think they're dissing Weezer. Although I love that Weezer SNL sketch. Because I'm ride or die. And then Cecily Strong's like, for Weezer? Weezer. Here's the thing about Weezer, I'll say is like, man, in 2001, possibly the biggest band in the world in 2001. But then I think, I think there's certain people who artistically you give a break to because you're like, well, it's a fun record, maybe, the next one. And then I think people eventually realize like, oh, they're just like that now. We're not getting another Pinkerton. And man, I listened to Pinkerton a lot back then, but not so much now. All right. Wait. Oh, you're right, not plausible. Thank you for bringing that up. I forgot about that. Weezer also owns the distinction of not allowing Weird Al to play to parody their first hit. I forgot about that. They're always like, we're so wacky. It's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. I didn't know that. Anyway, I think Pinkerton and the Blue Album are great. I like Hash Pipe and Isle in the Sun, but after that, I'm sort of like done with those fucking guys. The Muppet thing was neat, though. All right. So Ted Sarandos, who's leaving Netflix, and there's a lot of talk of him running Disney, which I think is a bad idea, but he's definitely the kind of personality Disney likes, so if it happens, it won't be too unexpected. He thinks when someone asks, have you destroyed Hollywood? No, we're saving Hollywood. And that they're a computer-based company. He likes to eat babies on the weekends. And that he talked about theaters. He said, we have bespoke releases. We have to do some qualifications for the Oscars. They have to run a little bit. It helps with the press cycle a little bit. But I've tried to encourage every director we work with to focus on the consumer, focus on the fans, make a movie they love, and they will reward you. I want to make movies Okay, he's saying we're in a period of transition. Folks grew up thinking, I want to make movies on a gigantic screen and have strangers watch them and to have them play in a theater for 2 months and people cry and sold out shows. It's an outdated concept. It's an outdated model. I think it is for most people, not for everyone. If you're fortunate enough to live in Manhattan, you can walk to a multiplex and see a movie. That's fantastic. Fantastic. Most of the country cannot. So the theater thing, I will say, since I grew up in Baltimore, I mean, I was able to walk to like the Senator and at that time a General Cinemas that doesn't exist. Who was it who was asking me about Maryland theaters? Anyway, those are the two I could walk to at the time. But you couldn't walk to everything, and I do agree for most people theaters it's harder for people to get to a theater. I understand that. He does have the Paris Theater in New York, which I'm sort of hoping Fix plays at. But I think it's just like his whole business model is shitting on theaters, and he doesn't want to bring up that like it's been proven time and again that theater releases definitely help film's performance on streaming, which he sort of alludes to. They don't bring up that like my biggest problem with streaming versus theatrical, and I don't know if a lot of people bring this up, but it's like Will Ferrell, for example. I have no issues with Will Ferrell. I love him a lot. But the only time we've seen him in a movie in theaters recently is the Barbie movie. All his other stuff that he's starring in is just on Prime and Apple and Netflix. And he gets like these huge paydays, but he's able to sort of not be in theaters and also make a shit ton of money. And you're like, but some of these, like the one he was in with Reese Witherspoon, I never heard anything about other than the Eurovision thing. I really never talk about his movies at all. Like it never comes up with Will Ferrell. So I'm always confused. Like he's someone I think about a lot. Or Ryan Reynolds has so many streaming movies, and like he does have a Deadpool and Wolverine, but it's like at one point, like at what point is that huge payday not make any sense? Because like, you know, if you're in theaters, like you for example, like Ryan Reynolds, he had a huge hit in theaters, or like Michael B. Jordan had a huge hit in theaters, so you'd expect him to make a huge payday from the streaming things because you know people will show up. But without like actually putting your neck on the line, what does it mean to be a movie star anymore unless you're making huge profits and stuff like that? But I understand like theaters aren't for everyone, and there's some towns like, hey, it makes a lot more sense to do streaming, but and I get that, but at the same time, it's like you shouldn't be shitting on them to the point. And I also don't get Netflix's thing because you're a pro consumer, you'd pro them be able to watch it in multiple formats. It feels like theaters are more able to, you know, if you want to watch it this way or this way, we give you all these options. I know they're priced up and everything. There's an upcharge, but like on Netflix, like you just watch it on Netflix and that's it. And we won't do that much promotion. And we won't do this. And it's like they're very set in their ways. But like I do think they need to get out there more, and like they could have an extra revenue stream by saying like, hey, they could do a limited thing like, hey, it's a couple weeks before, but they're so against it. But it's just like he always has to bring up the I don't know. That guy sucks is basically the thing with it. I get his point about theaters, but I just think he sucks as a person. Okay, some of this stuff is going to be quicker, so we're going to have a trailer section and all that. Also, we're talking about the Gaslight District, the pilot, because I saw that came out, and I'll talk about pilots to shows and all that stuff. All right, and if anyone wants to do a super chat, we can do that. We can have our little light show if we get to the 20 there. That guy sucks, Jim. Yeah, well, anyway. We'll do that. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. When I looked at Netflix, I found out their biggest movie of the year was that was it Comeback or whatever it was with Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx, and like that's hilarious because I feel like that like kind of was a big deal in January, but it like viewer number wise bigger than the Electric State and all this stuff. I understand like they had to pay Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx a lot, but I'd say that was a worthy investment if that's such a huge movie. And I didn't realize there's this movie like Lifeline and the girl who's not Dove Cameron from Descendants is in it, and she's like a whole Netflix star because she was in that. Was it Purple Heart or whatever? I don't know. I never see the movie she's in where she's not singing because nobody's making me watch this. But I was surprised. I was like, man, the Netflix stuff is like its own ecosystem. But it's weird. It's like that's a big movie. And back to action. Thank you. Like the Cameron Diaz thing I heard about, but like a lot of them, like I have no clue what they are. Like you never hear about them, and it's just like I think that's sort of the problem with Netflix. Isn't Jorts from Hilda? Anyway, the other thing. Other Netflix news. We learned that the movie, the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sort of sequel, is called The Continuing Adventures of Cliff Booth, and it will be about him being a '70s. She does sing in. I didn't know that. Thank you, Grace Reza. Grace Reza. That's a Grace Reza. I think that's. Sorry, I'm not good at saying. Don't be offended. That's a cool name though. Anyway, it's about him being a fixer in '70s Hollywood. I immediately went, please don't do that. Like I don't want people to do. Jordan is Jordan Bashard. I didn't realize that. That's funny. 70s Hollywood is like has a lot of like if you were a studio fixer, because immediately I'm like, if he's doing the revisionist history thing and he's a studio fixer, does that mean like he stops Polanski from the photo shoot thing? That's eventually, if you didn't know, the Polanski thing was with a girl. He was actually doing a photo shoot of her for French Vogue, which is still Gray Saraza. Oh, okay. I listened to this Kid Frost and goes, anyway, it reminds me of that, and it probably doesn't make sense. Anyway, but yeah, the thing with Polanski, like when the thing happened with that girl, he was actually doing a photo shoot for French Vogue because at the time, like, fashion magazines were taking pictures of like underage girls because that was like in vogue at the time. Which is a part like I noticed like a lot of people leave out. There's like, well, society was actually more chill with that at the time, but then Polanski did what he did, and everyone who was more into that was like, let's dial this back because this isn't. Turns out this looks really bad. I don't know if you realize that. But same with like the thing with Brooke Shields was going on at the time. Like it's not. I'm not being creepy. Like these are real history things. But like, is it going to be that, or is it going to be like he stops? What's her name? Who Star 80's about? Like so many things like that. That I'm like, oh, please don't make fucking Cliff Booth a fixer, or like stopping the rumored Scorsese tries to shoot an executive thing. Like, I really hope the revisionist Hollywood part is not part about him being a fixer, and it's like a total fictitious thing. But who knows? But the way Tarantino really is into the revisionist history thing makes me concerned. So we'll see what it is. I feel like Fincher wouldn't do that, but I also remember Mank. So I don't know, but we'll see. We got sort of a sneak peek. Not really. It's sort of American Dad did it already. Oh, Jesus. A sort of a sneak peek or just an awareness that Andy Serkis's Animal Farm movie is happening. It sounds like a cool idea. I've heard him talk about it for like maybe 10 years, maybe over that, where it's like a mocap Animal Farm. And I know he's basically the guy, like, if you didn't know Andy Serkis, not only is a great actor and can direct and stuff, but he also runs a mocap company. And typically, if you're an actor and you're doing mocap, they bring him and his company in and they teach you how to act for motion capture. And that's like, he's like brought in for a lot of different movies, like big movies you didn't realize. So I know he has like a big legacy in the industry and stuff like that. But Andy Serkis also, first big motion capture performance, him as King Kong, him as Gollum, all that stuff. I'm really curious to see him do Animal Farm, and it feels like maybe the times have worked out for a new version of Animal Farm. I'm going to take a drink of the energy because I feel a little sleepy. I'm sorry. I know I'm supposed to push the super chats, but I really need just a hit of this Zoya. All right, so if you didn't know, if you vote for the Oscars, you do not have to see the movies to vote. Now, that is not necessarily true for documentary and foreign film, in which you actually, this is really true. You have to sign like a paper when you see it in theaters. You have to prove you saw it in theaters for those. But for the other ones, until recently, you didn't have to prove you saw them. You could just sort of fill things out. And I think those honest ballot things that every trade likes to do, which are not really that funny, have caused enough controversy that the Oscars are like, this sucks. So they made a new rule that says that applies on a category by category basis, so voters can vote in the categories where they have seen all the nominees. And abstain in the categories where they have not seen all the nominees. This does not apply to the shortlist. So when you hear the visual effects shortlist and stuff like that, that will not apply. And nominations round of voting, which would be the shortlist and like the nominations part. Though some categories do have restrictions in those rounds. So like the documentary, I know the documentary ones are a little more restrictive and everything like that. So I think it's a good idea. A lot of people have brought up like when certain people have seen a movie more, it usually wins. Mark Rylance, I know, was one where people said, "Oh well, what was he gonna say? I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Yeah, if they've seen the movie, it changed their opinion, and sometimes they'll vote for something just cause, and this will clear things out. I think the Oscars want to be better run and more respected, and it's always been tough for them to do that because so much of the industry is just like, oh, whatever, who cares? And I'm just gonna help out my friends, and I think this makes things a little better, especially like things like Green Book, things like that. I think they really want to have a more, like this past year was a good Oscars, and I think the recent ones have been all right, and I think they're moving in a good direction. But I'm also like, I don't get like people, if you have the privilege to vote in something like that and give something, an Oscar, you should like have seen it. I don't understand why that's such a crazy thing. But apparently it is, and that's weird in my mind. That it took them that long to do it. I'm curious how they're going to enforce this. I'm sure someone will find a way to skirt it anyway. I know there's like certain trade reporters have written about how like the people who own their trades will just like give someone on staff their Academy ballot and they'll vote for it, which is crazy. All right, 3 kind of things that are being sort of remade or followed up on, and then we'll talk about a shit ton of trailers. The Pacific Rim show, this is not going to be involved with Del Toro. Amazon is trying to produce it. Supposedly it's about like the beginning of the Pacific Rim stuff. I think Pacific Rim worked in one movie directed by a really good director, and then the second one like oddly ripped off Atlantic Rim. I will talk about the Toys R Us. I think it's on here. I'll talk about the Toys R Us movie. It ripped off Atlantic Rim with Mystery Science Theater brought up as well. So I think it's just not a franchise in a great place, to be honest with you. Presently. We've learned the Highlander remake will be directed by Chad Stahelski. There's some hype about it now because he was announced. I don't really think we need it, but people think we do. And there's going to be a Killer Clowns from Outer Space remake produced by Ryan Gosling. Supposedly this is sort of a project he's not going to star in because his deal means he can produce films that he won't star in, and I can see him doing that. Are they going to have to prove they watch it by doing like a grade school reading quiz but for movies? I would be okay with it. But then you get into like real minutia and like, anyway. Yeah, and there was a Pacific Rim anime. I didn't realize Pacific Rim has become such a franchise thing. So, Del Toro really launched a cool thing there. But I don't know if anyone else got it as well as he did. But he also is Del Toro. So. All right, let's talk about trailers, and obviously we got a couple big ones at the beginning, and then it'll kind of peter off, I guess, there. The Fantastic Four: The First Steps trailer came out, I guess, like right after the last movie crap. I like it to a point, but I think like visually it is not really popping. Particularly if you're gonna do Galactus, which that's like one of Kirby's great moments there. I just found it to be. I was like, Jack Kirby would never make it this uh this bland. Like he would really like get into it and do everything. And like I really wish visually it was a lot more interesting. But the main thing I thought while watching it is they bring up this baby a lot of times. I think that baby is Franklin. I think Franklin will probably be on the X-Men. Those are like, or something involved. Like the next fate, Franklin will be important. Franklin's not just like a throwaway thing. Like I don't think it's going to be the stillborn kid. Like we're not doing that first movie out, and I don't think it's going to be their other kid. I think it's like obviously Franklin. And they brought it up a bunch. I know Marvel puts out trailers sometimes where they like send you on the wrong path, but I just think it's most definitely Franklin. The Galactus stuff was fine. I don't really mind. We all know Jim is the real Highlander here. Thank you for acknowledging that. Here we are. I love that song. I haven't seen the movie in like forever though. Cheers to you, Nathaniel. When I was a kid, like there was a show, an animated show that took place in the post-apocalyptic future, and those were huge, and now they're not. So, cheers to you, Nathaniel Foga. You want Herbie fully loaded? Right, okay, that took me a minute. I'm really considering re-releasing that cartoon because it is sort of just like only me, so it's not a big deal if I do. Probably should do that. Anyway, cheers to you, Austin. Why are they ignoring the thing ring? I don't mind the female Silver Surfer. I think it very much sells like, hey, this is an alternate universe kind of thing and stuff. I do. A lot of people brought up why is her hair? Why is she not bald and stuff? I'm also like, why did she have to be Silver Surfer? Couldn't she have just been another Herald or whatever? But that's fine. Galactus walking around was a little silly, but I'm sort of down for this. I wish we had someone more visually interesting. I also was thinking today. If you look at the three Marvel movies this year, like not like great director choices. Like why wouldn't you? Like you couldn't get better directors for Thunderbolts or Captain America or this. Like it just seems, I don't know. They got to start actually picking interesting directors again because it's been a minute and they really are just picking like someone from TV who's leveled up and stuff. And you're like, oh, I mean, I guess I don't know. But it looked fun. I don't think it's like these trailers are not. If I were them, I would worry just because when I saw the Superman trailer with my son before Minecraft, and watching him take that in was like honestly emotional for me. Like seeing my son watch a Superman thing and be like into it was like, whoa, this is like hitting me with the feels and stuff, as they say. But no, it really was like oh my god, like I didn't think this was gonna affect me like this. And I think Fantastic Four coming out around Superman is like a massive mistake because it's very different the need to see Superman and Fantastic. I think it's like Marvel will be back a little bit with it, but I just don't. I think the trailer is cool, but I don't think it is the home run. It feels like everyone's like, okay, well they'll make a decent one, but it feels like it'll be a good one, but not like an astounding one. And I think like just making like a decently good Fantastic Four, I guess that's a low bar and it'll pass it, but I just don't get the vibe the public's going to be like, whoa, oh man, that's a stretch. I could call you Reed Richards. Like I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll see. Super Radowski says, will Fantastic Four be more expensive version of the Venture Brothers episodes 20 Years to Midnight with the FF parody and Giant Robot? By the way, thank you for bringing that, Super Radowski. Cheers to you. I might review that around the time because that's one of my favorite versions of it. Where he's in that thing and he's just like lighting himself on fire and screaming. Jesus. That's a good one. Cheers to you, Super Radowski. it was just like, it was a good trailer, but it you know what it honestly sells to me, and I'm not a Marvel's done and stuff. It really did not make the MCU look cool. It sort of just meant like, oh, okay, you know. And I think picking directors they have already have rights, control is a little of a bad move. Predator Badlands, that trailer came out this week. That is a cool trailer. The idea of like we're following a predator, we're not following a human, going on this journey and stuff. Amazing. It was already sold. I always thought this was a good trailer. And then people were bringing up the other things in the trailer. Now we see in his sort of trophy room that an alien from Independence Day is there. And we see, and the image that's in the thumbnail of Elle Fanning when her eyes roll back thing and stuff, that it's a Walian Yutani thing, which we also saw in Alien Romulus. And Jeff Snyder came out on Twitter right before the show and said that the rumor is around town that Fede Alvarez has a predator in his script for his Alien Romulus sequel. We don't know how it all connects, but it's by the way really cool that Dan Trachtenberg is making such interesting stuff with the franchise. So many maybe they were like, look, it's got to connect and stuff, but you can be weird too. And he's like, sick. And he just goes it. But doing an animated movie, which we talked about last time, I believe, Killer of Killers, Killer of Killing, whatever, and now Badlands. This is like, we're in great Predator territory. I think this franchise is in probably the best shape it's been in ever. There's a lot of rumors that Disney or Fox through Disney or whatever really wants to have them all connected and stuff like that and have another Alien vs. Predator thing. I can understand wanting to do something with the Independence Day stuff because, like, man, they fucked up that sequel. So that's a pretty big, like, I'm sure they look at how much money that movie makes them every July 4th and go, oh, maybe we should do something with this, you know? But it was a really good trailer. Like, regardless of the connections or not, I really liked the trailer. And then I saw the connections. Like, I wouldn't mind if it just exists in this world. The Independence Day thing, I think, is fun. But I'm not sure how the Will and Yutani. That's interesting. But having it all connected, I wouldn't mind. We'll see how it goes. But right now, I still feel confident in it. I'm a little worried that everything, all these references in it and stuff, but it works for the story. It's cool. So we got a trailer for Weapons, which is Zach Krieger's big movie. It's just a teaser, and the idea that all these kids leave their house at like 2:17. I want to be like, my kids will be fine because that's like right about the time I go to sleep. So if I hear something moving around, I'm going to be up. So I'm supposed to be scared by this. I was like, you got to pick a later time for me, Zach Krieger, or an earlier time. I need to sleep more. Anyway, it was a good trailer. It definitely felt spooky and weird, and like seeing all those kids run out of the house with their arms like airplanes and stuff. I thought it was probably one of the best teaser trailers I've seen. And this was a good week of trailers. All these trailers are like pretty substantial and interesting and grabby and stuff. But I thought this was a good one. Good job on marketing it. It didn't even mention the name of the movie, which I think is a bit stupid. Unless, does AMC still do the thing where it just tells you what the movie is and when it's coming out? So, which I'm like, all chains should do that, honestly. But it looked cool. We also got a trailer for I Know What You Did Last Summer 3, I guess. I saw the first one. The first one was on at so many different parties when I was in high school and middle school and all those things that it's like nobody really liked it as much as Scream or anything, but it was just like there so much. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this and stuff. But it's basically like a bunch of kids kill someone, and then everyone's, they know what they did last summer, and then the guy's coming back. Although the killer, like, justifiably though, like they did kill someone, like with their being drunk assholes. It's like not like I Know What You Did Last Summer, like you stole bread to feed homeless people. Like it's like, okay, we were kind of drunk and we killed this dude, and they probably don't matter, and then we just buried the body, and like now someone's coming to kill us. Like it's morally not maybe the greatest horror situation you could be in, but whatever. Then we have the Toxic Avenger trailer. This trailer I liked. Ripping off people's arms and shit. Like, this looked fun. This looks cool. This looks like the kind of thing I would from a toxic relationship. Sorry. But I am excited for that. I still like the trailers and everything. Then we have. I never really talk about. Um, Wait, it's pretending the second one doesn't exist in Thanafoga? Are you saying Brandy doesn't exist in this world? That's odd. I've actually not seen the second one. Maybe I should like watch both. I don't know. I know I'm reviewing Final Destination 2 because I did one forever ago. Anyway, oh yeah, I'll mention Wednesday trailer. Thank you, Medela Butterfly. I'll mention it. I'm not a big Wednesday fan. I also don't get like all these Addams Family remakes in the past couple, decade or something. To me, it's like they never get the appeal of the original show, and that's what I like. But like the MGM movie, like that never really didn't it have a McDonald's tie-in at a weird time or something? Like I don't know. My kid saw it, Sophie saw it, and she didn't even remember the first one. So she remembers all these other movies, but not Addams Family. She's like, I don't. I think she remembers. Was it Ugly Dolls or Ugly, whatever that stupid thing was? Shouldn't have taken. I don't know. Anyway, regardless, I like that they put out the Wednesday trailer on a Wednesday. I thought that was cute. Anyway, see, it's like I know what you did last summer, not a big. So it's like, oh, I guess I don't. I know people saw the second one. It wasn't like nobody saw it, but I didn't see it. Or did I see it? I know it's like Brandy and Freddie Prinze and Jennifer Love Hewitt. Man, I had such a crush on her in that first one. But when I was a teenager, Peewee as himself. I first was like, yeah, a documentary on a person, whatever. I think like a bio documentary thing. It has footage. Peewee or Paul Rubens is an actual talking head in it, so I would say this is a bigger deal because this is sort of his last thing ever. I'm gonna watch it. I think it'll be really cool. I don't know if I'll review it necessarily, but it looks really interesting and really cool. Peewee as himself. I think that's gonna be. I don't know. I was kind of taken aback by how wonderful he is in it, and what he's going to reveal is going to be interesting, and how they're going to do the documentary. I'm curious. I think it comes out mid-May or towards the end of May, and the trailer worked. I was like, okay, this is worth it. So if anyway, you should check that out. I think that's going to be a big documentary in my mind. All right. I should talk about. Okay, it is getting late. We're gonna go through a bunch of stuff. Ryan Coogler is doing X-Files. He hasn't talked much about it, but he said it's his next kind of project after this, the Sinner stuff. And he's talking to Gillian Anderson. We haven't heard any discussions with David Duchovny. I do not remember where the last reboot left it off, so I can't make any of course he's not in it. He's dead or something. So I don't know. To me, and most of how Coogler works, it'll probably be new people following up what the older people did, in my mind. I don't think it'll star the two leads like that other remake thing did. So apparently the people... when should we... Probably in like 10 minutes, I should probably take a break. So let's think about what we should probably talk about. Star Wars. And is it just Star Wars? Okay, all right, we should be okay. The other trailers I didn't talk about were Him. That looked really interesting. A sports horror movie with Marlon Wayans. I actually thought it looked really, really interesting. I think it'll be really cool. That looked like and in the theater it looked even more amazing, frankly. There was other trailers that there was a trailer for Diabolique, which was the last movie of the sci-fi run of Mystery Science Theater, and is a huge property in France and stuff. But there's another movie coming out this summer, and then we have two movies that I describe as movies I would drink too many beers in front of and then fall asleep during, and then my wife would be like, "You didn't watch half of it, you fell asleep." Those would be Bride Hard, about Rumor Willis as a bridesmaid, and she actually has to do spy stuff while she's on being a bridesmaid at a wedding. It looks like, sorry, a really cool, fun kind of movie, starring two people, I guess, from the Pitch Perfect movies, I think. And then Heads of State is John Cena and Idris Elba, as one being the Prime Minister of England, one being the American president. Looks like another fun action movie there. Yes. The other things are Snoop Dogg signed a big deal with Universal. I used to love Snoop Dogg, and then he did that Trump thing, and I just really haven't listened to him since then, which is unfortunate. Heads of State is the one of Idris. Oh, hey, Cinerim, how's it going? Yes. Okay, I think you got it. Sorry, delay. Where were we? Oh, yeah, Snoop Dogg has to deal with Universal to do like a biopic and stuff like that. The other thing is No Other Land. I think I talked about before, you could rent it. Supposedly you can rent it right from their website, which is nootherland.com. I would very much implore you to do that. If you can't see it in the theater, I don't think it's playing in as many theaters now. But, yeah, if you can't see it or it's nowhere near you, please pay for this movie and help these people out. All right. So the one Star Wars update I have is apparently Mikey Madison said no to Star Wars because they would not pay her enough. That's basically the deal. Is she wanted a payday after winning Best Actress? Who can blame her? And it was not a good enough a payday, so she walked. Which happens with these franchise things. They'll pay, but not too much. And it's like you're getting a recent Best Actress winner. I don't understand. I mean, I don't know what she asked for. But anyway, that's supposedly what it's going to do. The big notes from this were there was a Mandalorian Grogu trailer that supposedly leaked, but wasn't a good version. And I saw some of it and it looked fine. I don't know. I was waiting for it to actually get released. That's happening next year. This is just water, no worry. But even though that's coming out a year from now, this all happened in Japan, this Star Wars Celebration. We learned about the Ryan Gosling, Sean Levy Star Wars movie called Star Wars Star Fighter. It's going to be an original thing. He's directing, Ryan Gosling is starring in it. It's supposedly but Mikey would get exposure if she was in the Star. Nice, sitting around. I'm sure someone said that to her. You can die of exposure, though. People don't talk about that. So every time I hear this described by anyone who, like Sean Levy or Ryan Gosling, they say it takes place half a dozen years after Rise of Skywalker. And then when I read anything written, it says it takes place 5 years after Rise of Skywalker. And this has bothered me. I'm like, are we talking about 5 years or 6 years? Because in my mind, half a dozen is 6. But everyone keeps saying 5. So I don't know why the difference, but whatever. It sounds, honestly, I think a Ryan Gosling Star Wars could be fun. Sean Levy does not evoke that much confidence, but I think if the right kind of director shows up, it could work. That was sort of the biggest news that was confirmed. We also heard about a Darth Maul animated show. I think that could really be fun and really cool. I hope it kind of works because I think Darth Maul is a cool character and really got to do what he probably should have done. And then lastly, we learned that there has been often talk of a Mace Windu movie, particularly from Bryce Dallas Howard, who's been actively campaigning for it. We'll see if that ever happens, but Sam Jackson is getting up there, so if they're going to do it, they got to do it soon. All right, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to wake myself up. We're going to talk about the Gaslight District. And then we'll take questions. And then I think I want to end at 12:45. My energy is dipping a little bit. That's not an ad for Super Chats. I'm just warning you. Anyway, thank you all for being here. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Let me switch over here. And then we will talk about the Gaslight. Was there anything else that I should have? I mean, I think we can. Bright-Hearted Weapons. Oh, okay. The Toys R Us movie. Okay, I'll talk about 3 things here. The Toys R Us movie makes no sense. Man. Sorry. So I read that's Quay, man. That's Quay, y'all. Good night. Good night, Medela Butterfly. I kept saying it's a live action movie, which is a strange distinction. But then, oh, good night. There was some, I'm going to go to bed. There was some news. John Chu that just broke. What? John Chu. I'll look this up. John M. Chu? News. Oh, split fiction from John M. Chu and Sydney Sweeney. Oh, I don't know what that is, but good for them. That's neat. Cool. Okay. Sorry. But yeah, a Toys R Us movie would be cool. I would much rather hear the history of the company, but supposedly they want it to be like, all the toys come to life. Many people have said they want to make Who Framed Roger Rabbit or this or that. I'm here to tell you. This is the toy version of Food Fight. We all know it. Just admit it, Toys R Us. KB, you better be coming for them before they come for you. There's supposedly going to be a Clueless TV show with Alicia Silverstone. I know they actually tried to get her to do that TGIF show or whatever. Sure, I sort of think follow-ups to Clueless have never panned out the way everyone wants them to, but I guess we're going to try again another time. Whatever. And then Bill Hader's doing a Jonestown show. Sure it might be good, but like I've seen the Jonestown stuff so many times and heard about it referenced and all this stuff. I really don't need another version, but I hope it works out for him. But I'm already like, okay, I guess somebody had to do it, so whatever. All right, now I'm going to take a break. Then we will talk about the Gaslight District pilot. I'll be right back. Right after this, I'm just gonna okay, use the bathroom. I'm gonna play the song. You can listen to the song again. I need to release this by itself. Anyway, will Ian finally give Jeffrey a hug in the movie? Hold on, let me go back. Hold on. Hold on. Thank you for the super chat, Austin. Hold on, let me come back. You got me to come back from break, but I'm gonna go back again. I will answer your question in a second, Senator. Will Ian finally hug Jeffrey? You know what? I hope he does, Austin. Cheers to you. Am I showing up on here? I should be. Okay. Until he kills me. All right. I did talk about it. Tarantino's the script's already written. And it was sort of like what happened to the film critic became the continuing adventures of Cliff Booth. I did talk about it in my trepidation about being a fixer in Hollywood and the issues there. I think you can. I don't know. I am really curious about that movie, though. I am really curious about it. Anyway, I need to use the bathroom, and then we'll come back and talk about the red light, the Gaslight District, the red light district. All right, I'll be right back. All right. What did you watch, Jim? What do you mean? What do you mean, what did I watch? Whoa? What? I'm confused what that's about. Anyway, um, what was I gonna say? All right, we're gonna talk about. Oh, I gotta switch. I acted like the camera was there, and it's not there. It's hold on. Oh, hold on. Have you seen the rehearsals? New season 2 on Max. The rehearsal. First off, wait, what is that again? Oh, I didn't. I heard there is a season 2. Oh, it's coming. Oh, there's one episode that came out last. I didn't. Yeah, I haven't watched it actually. I only heard a little bit about it. Um. Oh, when you got to red light district. Sorry. No, I haven't seen it. My wife and I really liked the first rehearsal, and we ended up watching Nathan for You afterwards. So I would like to. I do need to catch up on that. Cheers to you, Jordan Bouchard, Jortunes. Cheers to you. Okay, so we're gonna talk about. I think that one, the red light special. Thanks, Sidra. I don't know why that made me laugh so much. All right, so hold on. I just want to get all this stuff right. Not helping me. So, Glitch Productions has a new show. It is called The Gaslight District. This is an independent animation studio who posts everything on YouTube. I'm going to say, even though I'm not maybe the biggest, I'm not really a fan of Digital Serkis, I really think it's cool what they're doing as a company and getting a digital animated property like as big as it is, and even to be even on at Spirit Halloween this year, like majorly featured. So like props to them. Independent animation is hard. It's cool what they're doing regardless of my actual review here. But let me say, I actually like this a lot more than Digital Serkis. I think the design is a lot better. I think the story is a lot more interesting. I think the characters are better. And it's not doing that like, hey, aren't clowns creepy thing. It's actually giving me creepy, weird designs here. This is done by a guy, Nick Spicco, whatever. His name is Part-Time Seagull. Almost everyone I saw in a video was like, I know Saber did, but a couple other people did it, and they did. They had a part where like, man, I'm really trying to say your name right, but I'm not sure. So anyway, sorry, pause on the review. I am actually pretty close to. I'm not there. I'm pretty close to $20. If I do, I'll do the flashy thing. I'll do it for the whole after the review part. Although I do the flashing for reviews now sometimes, but yeah, I'll do it because we're not there. I don't want to do it unless we all earn it, I guess. Anyway, I know about the Alha show. Well, when that happens, I'll review it. So this show, it's about, but I like this kind of gothic thing. It feels very Repo, the Genetic Opera influence, or very Henry Selick influence. And the main guy, it looks very much like that. But it's basically in this place, this weird world where this kind of weird like world where everyone's like a zombie. It's like this post thing and everything, and they're in this kind of group. She's the one girl who's called, what's her name? Melancholy, which is just the most obvious name in the fucking world. She wants to be part of this team, this kind of group of gangsters called, where did I write the stupid name? It says like Smiling. I thought I wrote it down, and now I didn't. This is fucking embarrassing. Where did I write the name? She wants to be part of this gangster team, which are called, I'm sure someone in the chat has already said it, and I think it's called the Smiling. Anyway, she wants to be a part of this gangster team, the Smiling whatever the fucks, and she very much wants to. You see this crazy car chase at the beginning, and then she starts a scam to tell people she's going to get a human egg because none of them know anything about humans in this world, and they're going to steal it. And most of the episode is about that. We meet various people. The Smiling Dead. Thank you, Georgians. The Smiling Dead is, or the Smiling whatever the fucks, is pretty cool too. The featured characters in the Smiling Dead are Ken the Butcher, who looks like way too much like a character from Nightmare Before Christmas. I get that all this stuff is very Henry Selick influence. I get it. Melancholy, who or her name's Melancholy Hill. Jesus, like, come on, for real. All right. You have Mud, Angel Mother, I think. No, that's a different. Anyway, you have Mud, and then Breadhead, who is my favorite design of this whole thing. I love Breadhead. Breadhead rules. I don't really understand why we have all these other characters. Let's just have Breadhead. I don't really care if Melancholy is a human or not. Who fucking gives a shit? Just have Melancholy hit stuff. Or no, sorry. Just have Breadhead hit stuff and look cool. It's a great design. It's like very original. It reminds me of those breakfast commando guys that I had action figures of in the 80s. Like I really like Breadhead. Best, probably the best thing Glitch design wise the Glitch Studio has made. But the one thing about this is it really has no faith in its audience whatsoever. It cuts so quickly, as so many things moving around, so many, like during the opening car chase, we're watching it, and like it keeps like saying the names of characters. I think there was one part where one of the characters, I think it is Mud, references that he doesn't have a bed and he sleeps in a freezer, and instead of just like, you know, saying that and letting that line hit you, they have to like quickly cut to him doing that. And there's so many problems with it. Like, I don't think overall the story is bad, and visually there's so much going on, but there's so many people I heard watching this who had to slow it down to catch up with everything. And I get like Studio Trigger is way better at that than like this is not very good at that. It really kills the momentum, and almost like I actually do want to see another episode of this, whereas Digital Circus I just saw because it was big and I was curious, and it wasn't for me, and that's fine. It's not horrible or nothing, but like the way this was directed is so bad. Like, have some faith in your audience. You have a good show. You're legitimately ruining this show by like overcompensating for something. So it really needs to slow down. Like, too many cuts, too many over clarifications of things that it's like it really felt like an insanely insecure director, that like they really wanted everything to land, but you're supposed to take care of that and not make it so obvious, and it became obnoxious. And so many things were like a little too much, like calling it Mel is melancholy, or they're going to Paradise Lost, or like all these various things. I don't know. And but I like certain things, like when the characters have their all lit up eye thing. I was like, why just have them like that the whole time? They look amazing like that. And having to do scams, it sort of reminds me of the bad guys in Lupin and stuff like that. But obviously, I mean, this is more like listening to new metal in a Hot Topic. If that to you sounds interesting, you'll probably like this. But it really it came out for so many different things. But I really like the design. I like the idea of like this really crazy, weird post-apocalyptic world. It very much plays on the kind of audience who would like it. I think would absolutely fall in love with it. But the design's so much more interesting. I do actually think the story of like having this gangster thing and this girl and like the gangsters are friends with her and stuff. I think that's like a really good idea, and they really have a pretty interesting thing going on here. And although there's mystery, just like in the digital circus, I think the difference here is this is a mystery you probably care about more because I know who all the characters are and I understand a relationship and I understand that relationship means something. And I think, whereas digital circus is like you're just thrown into it and you're just told, like, a fucking toddler or something, that these people are friends and stuff. In this, it's like you don't actually need them to. It's like it's there. That's kind of one of the things with the direction is like if someone who knew how to direct this was like better at it, they'd understand that all this stuff is in the script and you don't need to push it. Like the audience is smart enough to do it. I understand we have shorter attention spans and stuff, but this went way too far on that. So I'm hoping they slow it down for other ones. But they really do have, like, even though I think her name is dumb and stuff, they really do have great characters in this. But this is like so overbearing in terms of the Henry Selick influence. Like I do feel like that with Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss and like all this stuff. Like Henry Selick is so influential in all these people. It's he's probably going to end up being one of the most influential figures in all of animation when these people are done with him. But I wish they had more confidence in it. I do think it's like if you're looking at that new metal Hot Topic type of style, it does it so well. It's actually probably one of my favorite examples of that. And even though like this isn't kind of the design or something that's necessarily my favorite thing or anything, I was compelled by it because there's so much in there. And I rarely see a show where like, usually I'm more on board with all the aspects of it, but like I think they should, whoever makes this, whoever's a fan of it, I think it is so good at doing some of these things that you or like it has so much interesting life in it, you kind of want to stay with it despite its direction, which I think in a sense means it's a good show, but also sort of isn't, because they should have had the faith to make this something more interesting. But I think like, it's a decent show. I'm curious to see what happens next. I don't know if I'll do a review of another one, but I will actually check it out. I'm kind of curious about this one. Like I was a little like, I want to see the Breadhead guy. Like if I saw him in a Spirit Halloween, I would go and look at that character regardless of what it's in. So like, I really like that character. If you do a spinoff of him, I'm down. But I get it. It's, all these things are not maybe made for me or my demo or my demographic. I think, who it's probably made for is a teen girl who just got off a teen girl who just got off Foamy the Squirrel on Newgrounds.com while signing a Bring Back Invader Zim petition, wearing a Jack Skellington hoodie and Happy Tree Friends tube socks purchased from Hot Topic during an Emily the Strange buy one get one 50% off sale, where she discovered Serenity Rose from slave labor graphic comics, while her overbearing but loving father restricts her from going to the My Chemical Romance Limp Bizkit concert with a 5 years older than her boyfriend that constantly IMs unsourced, stolen Pawn and Z comic art over 56K modem America Online trial disc on MySpace.com with the top 5 consisting of Tim Burton, Jack Sparrow, Eminem, Jesus Christ, and any angsty band as the new thing on Disney Adventures magazine, and spends all day filling out what Kingdom Hearts character are you quizzes, only to complain she didn't get Ryu and is unable to watch the 2003 MTV Music Awards because her deadbeat older brother is always hogging the living room TV, playing Tony Hawk's Underground on his Halo Edition transparent green Xbox, using a third-party Mad Catz Airflow controller with a busted analog stick that is constantly leaning to the right, making anti-Semitic remarks on how Eric stole his wicked McTwist over the helicopter in Hawaii footage. Yeah, anyway, I think that's the kind of person who would really like the Gaslight District. I hope it works out for them. I like that they keep going, and I will continue to review their pilots. I don't know if I'll review more than this, but I think that sums up the target demographic for this one. Yes, of course I read off a script. You think I'm going to remember all that shit? Give me a break. All right. Sorry. It hit me when I was watching the show, and I was like, I got to do it. I got to do it. When I asked Ryan, he was like, I don't. I should have just said that. Here's my review, and just said that, and everyone would do it. All right. Anyway, if anyone wants to do a final super chat, I'm sorry if I'm selling this. We will do the thing, but I haven't gotten to 20, so I can't do it until then. Anyway, wow. Who? Oh, Riley Russian. Hello. Sorry if I. Hey, Pan wasn't using it. All right. Let me write. Sorry. Questions below. I know I'm doing Austin's first. Below. I'm going to take a drink of this because we're almost done. Where are my? Thank you, computer. We all need that. All right. Austin says, "Hey Jim, what a great show. I might be in bed as you read this question right now because I haven't been sleeping so well this week. My question is, oh man, that sucks, man. I'm sorry. My question is, which is last, oh well, I read it anyway, last this week, but one day it might be first again. I don't know, but one day in the future, I do imagine that Cornbread will have the first YouTube question, I'm guessing, about Katana Wolfman since all the Star Wars news. My question is for you, is since vampires have attacked Brooklyn and the Bronx, what American city should vampires attack next? I'm going to say Chicago. I think Chicago, New Orleans is good because it has so many interesting parts to it. I really love New Orleans, but I go New Orleans, Chicago. Cinderam, how do you feel about vampires in Chicago? Baltimore would be a good one too. Any city I've been to. LA, I'm like, I don't know. I wouldn't mind if it's a really small town. Anyway. Nathaniel Foga asks, what's an animated film you're surprised wasn't milk for sequels despite being a success? That is a good question. Despite being a success, that's the part you gotta. Well, I'm surprised Nightmare Before Christmas, like they never did anything. I'm always surprised by that. To be 100% with you. Despite I didn't have a follow. I'm gonna go with Nightmare Before Christmas, but I feel like probably yeah. I'm going to go with that. All right, Cineram, biggest disaster. Amsterdam, Babylon, or the Suicide Squad that was perverted with the needle drops. I've only seen two of them. I didn't really watch Amsterdam. My mother-in-law was watching it. I really wasn't into it. Babylon's fine. I think the big thing about Babylon, and there's parts of it I remember, is that if the silent film community is not talking about your silent film movie, I never take that as a good sign. And they were dead silent on Babylon. I do think Babylon like does a bunch of stuff that you're like, film history wise, I'm constantly like, what are you trying to do here, and why are you saying all these things happen at once? Like I don't think it fully understands what it's doing with that. And it was pretty clear, and he's trying to be loose about it, but like never. I don't know. There's some parts like the scene where they're doing the thing. Anyway, sorry. I never reviewed Babylon, but you almost got me to. I probably Amsterdam because I think that made the least amount of money, and I only hear people complain about it. So, all right. Let's go up to the Windy Vampires. Do vampires fart? I think they do. Right? That'd be funny if all their farts are gross. That would 100% be the joke, wouldn't it? All right. Cornbread. With the start of 2020s being a financially bad time for vampire films, Morbius, Renfield, Demeter, Abigail. Ooh, fuck. I heard Demeter was good. And, well, Demeter was okay. Abigail I didn't see. And now we're in an upswing with Nosferatu and Sinners. Is Blade better off now? I heard weird things about Blade. I think if you're going to talk about the two biggest fails of the MCU Phase 4, it would be no Shang-Chi 2 and why did you not make Blade? And I think there's always been rumors Chad Stahelski's going to take it on or whatever. But yeah, I think Blade missed its moment several times. Super Dusky, is JD Vance actually a bad omen? Like the omen's already bad. So, but yes. Um, Your Tunes. What are some comedy series you've enjoyed? Presently, I'm watching In Living Color on YouTube. They're all on YouTube. I really recommend that one. I watch Abbott Elementary. I need to catch up on that. What We Do in the Shadows. Oh my God, yes, I need to finish up and review. So that'd be another one. Sinram, has there ever been a character who you were especially sad to see killed or turned into a vampire zombie clicker the thing? There were a couple in Sinners, but I guess that'd be a spoiler. Um, I guess in the What We Do in the Shadows, maybe the guy who like was sad he couldn't eat couldn't eat fries, and said about how he couldn't eat chips. I think that would be. Question: Popeyes chicken sandwich or Chick-fil-A? I don't like really either of those, but I'm gonna go Popeyes because I do not eat at Chick-fil-A. I work right next to one, and I do not eat at Chick-fil-A. I'm sorry. I've had it because it's been free or offered to me, but I refuse to go in there and spend money because they're creepy. Rat Boy Mickey, best New York pizza. Um, Brooklyn Pizza Crew's very good. That's up there for me. There's a dollar pizza place that's near where the Colbert studio is that I would say is the best dollar pizza. Um, I'm gonna go with those two. Vampires Attack Camper University, nice. Question: favorite movie monster? Mine is Godzilla or the robot monster. My kids love Mothra. I might just go Godzilla, but I've always liked Frankenstein and Dracula, so one of those probably. Have you done a midnight release? Have you done a midnight release for anything? So they won't get to do one for the Switch too. From Black Saxon. One of the Harry Potter books my friend invited me to, and I didn't get the book, but I just hung out. I did Phantom Menace, and was doing 12 when I started this channel. Up until when the Dark Knight Rises thing happened, up until then it was all they would sort of do 10 p.m. releases, but they'd mostly be midnight releases. So I did a lot of times for a lot of stuff, actually, for a lot of movies. But after Dark Knight Rises, that's when the preview screenings got earlier and earlier. Question: I've always wondered, how involved do directors get in the editing process? Like, I'm sure it depends. How do they usually review drafts, or is it common to sit and watch? It depends on the director and how involved they are. I know, like, Thelma Schumacher kind of like mess about herself. It also depends on how many projects the director has, because oftentimes they will just leave it in the editor's hands and they will review sequences and films. It depends on all that stuff. Like, I don't think Ridley Scott goes in the edit. He just shows up and stuff, but it depends on who they are and what it really is case by case. But I would say a lot of the editors don't get enough credit for making the film what they are, from what I have heard and understood. But again, I'm not. But it's what you're saying, they're involved, but not like, sometimes they're not there every day, and sometimes they're dealing with other shit and they can't and stuff like that. Tunes or Jordan Bouchard said, what are some VHS you remember owning or watching often? I had a Simpsons tape, I had a SpongeBob tape, I had a Cow Chicken tape, I had a lot of Space Ghost tapes. All those, I would say, would be in there. Black Sax Winkle, favorite childhood commercial. The one that I keep talking about and I would love to see from a childhood is all these like girls in like black dresses, sort of being the Fly Girls from In Living Color a little bit, and dancing in a used car commercial. That I would like. I also think commercials now on TV are remarkably bad, and I do think that is like, they used to be better, and now it's just like info. Like we watched The Americas, which is this show on Sunday nights on NBC. It's like a nature thing, and they just had an infomercial in the middle of it, like a QVC thing. I was like, this is what ads are like, man. This sucks. Like, come on now. Did you try to give a shit? It just doesn't play that way. All right, I'm getting a little tired, but I would like to answer everyone's question. We did not get to I guess we're not doing the lights thing, but regardless, thank you for the super chats, people who know. I don't mean to be a complainer or anything like that. Best ice cream, chocolate or Ben and Jerry's Netflix and Chill is like among my favorites. I also like the Jimmy Fallon one, despite the fact that I don't like Jimmy Fallon that much. Cornbread. To compensate with the lack of Katana Wolfman in the last question, I gotta ask, do you agree with Mod Zane Powers that the vaping CGI lizard is better than Katana Wolfman? I mean, I don't agree, but how about they're both cool? I know that's like a dad answer, but I do think they're both cool to a degree. I'm just gonna say it. What significance is that license plate behind you? Not plausible. I think it was my wife's from a long time ago. I don't think it means anything now, though. It's just there, and I have to set all this up each time. This isn't all here all the time, so stuff like that. Like, I guess if it was a real set, it wouldn't be there, but whatever. Ratboy Mickey, could Morbius survive in Sinners? Probably not. Yeah. Okay. Jordan's, is Sinners a must see in theaters? Probably still seeing it in there, but wondering your opinion. Yes, I would say just because it's such an event and it's good to see Coogler movies with a ton of people in my mind. Fuck. We really went down. Okay. Where were we? Will you be seeing Thunderbolts, George Hughes? Yes. Question. You complain like 6 times about Mel is too on the nose, yet your name is Jim and you expertise in film. Jim, film, hypocrite bunch. Thanks, Carter. Super Adusky for Easter. I got a bunch of jelly beans. I hate them, but keep eating them. Is there anything you hate but eat anyway? I agree. I learned recently because I had to do all the Easter egg things, and I actually did get the candy at like 10 o'clock at night because I didn't realize we didn't have any. But like my dad likes the black jelly beans, and I purposely took them out of everything because I was like, nobody likes this shit. And I was wrong. Somebody does like that shit. Cornbread, was Fantastic in the title intentional because of the character limit, or is that just a genuine typo? That is a genuine typo. I actually write out the titles usually on my ride home, just so that's a thing I don't have to worry about, so I can get up and set up and stuff. So yeah, I will fix that right after this. What's a film Nathaniel Foga? Oh man, we should finish up soon. What's a film this year if you could see? Wait, sorry. What's a film this year if you'd see it the day of the release? I mean, Sinners. I used to see everything the day release, so I would like to do that more. Ratboy Mickey, should I quit my job? There is no backup or plans. No, you should keep your job. Get another job first. Not plausible. Should I take Ratboy Mickey's job after he quits? I don't know what he does for a living, but I like surprise. Yes, you should. At Ratboy Mickey, I take that back. Quit today. Favorite Super Bowl ad? Still the Bud Bowl because I liked watching them as a kid. I don't care. Cornbread made the cutoff point. Okay, well, I'll do Nathaniel Foga's because Nathaniel Foga, you've been around forever. We'll do it. When would you say was the last time you enjoyed a Saturday morning cartoon block? Hilariously, I actually DVR'd, this is true, a Spectacular Spider-Man that was on the last Saturday morning block, and I saved it for a long time, and I eventually watched it, I think during my parental leave for Sophie, and that was the last time. But we do watch Saturday morning cartoons on MeToons, so I might actually still enjoy them. I like watching Asteria and Captain Planet with my kids, so either the very last one or what is happening on MeTV Tunes. Anyway, I think that answers everything. Thank you, Cornbread, for the lookout. Oh, that sucks. The Carrie ripoff? She passed away? I didn't know that. I answered every question. Cool. All right. I want to give a thanks to. I'll just have. We got close to 20, and we're almost done here. So let me. Okay. I'll let it go towards the end here. I want to thank everyone who did give a super chat. I really appreciate it. Those being Bloxy Oxenwinkle, Medela Butterfly, Jortunes or Jordan Bouchard, Austin, Nathaniel Foga, Austin, Super Dusky, Austin, and Jortunes or Jordan Bouchard. Thank you all very much. All cheers to you. Uh, tomorrow there might be a short, and then I'm hoping to have the Minecraft review out next, and maybe we can do new movies in the same weekend. Maybe we can do that. I would like to do that. I'm hoping. If not, maybe. I hope the Gaslight thing was that weird. Did that work? I hope it did. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I think it was a good show. I appreciate y'all being here and everything you do. Thank you all for being here. I think the next stream will be next Thursday. Oh yeah, I need to figure out this light thing better. Anyway, thank you all for being here. Thank you for all your support. I hope you guys have a good night, and I will see you all next time. And subscribe if you would like to. See you later, and peace out. All right.